In a world where moral values shape much of our daily lives, have you ever wondered where these values come from? Are they inherent, or are they constructed over time by the powers that be? Is the concept of good the same in all societies, or does it depend on who holds the power? These questions are not only philosophical musings. They are at the core of one of the most controversial and thought-provoking concepts in moral philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche's idea of master morality and slave morality. These contrasting moral frameworks offer insights not only into the personal lives of individuals, but also into the structures of entire societies. Nietzsche, a profound critic of contemporary morality, argued that these two moral systems are not merely ethical positions, but are reflections of deeper power dynamics within human history. In this essay, we will explore the origins, characteristics, and implications of these two moral systems. We will then examine how these concepts interact with ideas like nihilism and their broader consequences on modern society. So, let's begin this intellectual journey by diving into the very heart of Nietzsche's moral philosophy. Before we dive deeper into today's topic, I want to take a moment to thank you for joining us. This channel, The Unfolding Journey, is dedicated to exploring profound ideas that shape the world we live in, from philosophy and psychology to societal issues and beyond. If you're passionate about diving into these deeper layers of human thought and culture, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and let's embark on this intellectual adventure together. Now, let's delve into the distinction between master and slave morality. Master morality versus slave morality. An overview. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most influential philosophers of the 19th century, divided moral values into two distinct types: master morality and slave morality. These two systems, according to Nietzsche, arise from different historical contexts and psychological conditions. To fully understand how these moralities function, we need to look at their origins, characteristics, and impacts on society. Master morality, the values of the strong. Master morality is, in many ways, the morality of the powerful. It originates from the perspective of the master, the individual or group who holds power, and who sees themselves as the creators of values. Nietzsche traces the origins of master morality to aristocratic societies, where individuals of high status, nobles, warriors, or elites, had the freedom and the will to assert their own values. At the core of master morality is the concept of noble values: strength, power, vitality, creativity, and assertiveness. The noble individual, according to Nietzsche, does not look to others for validation or approval. Rather, they are driven by an inner will to power, the fundamental force that propels life and human achievement. In this system, good is synonymous with what is life-affirming, self-assertive, and creative. Traits like ambition, independence, and pride are virtues, while traits like weakness, passivity, and submission are seen as bad. For the masters, their actions are not judged according to the needs or preferences of the common person. Instead, their sense of morality is rooted in the affirmation of their own existence and power. This type of morality does not seek to restrain or suppress the natural drives of the individual, but instead encourages their expression. The strong are good because they embody life's highest potential. Slave morality, the values of the weak. In contrast, slave morality emerges from the perspective of those who are oppressed, subjugated, or powerless. Nietzsche argues that slave morality develops as a reaction to the harshness and inequality of master morality. The slaves, unable to assert their will or power in a direct way, create an entirely different moral framework that seeks to subvert the values of the powerful. The central values of slave morality are rooted in humility, kindness, compassion, and self-sacrifice. In this moral system, the good is defined in terms of suffering, meekness, and submission. Weakness is reframed as virtue, and traits like meekness, humility, and pity become noble. This morality emphasizes the importance of altruism and equality. In other words, the good is what helps to ease the suffering of the oppressed. The slave, Nietzsche notes, is not directly capable of challenging the power of the master. Instead, they turn inward, creating a value system that champions their own suffering as a form of moral superiority. Slave morality arises in response to oppression and injustice. It seeks to elevate the moral worth of traits that help individuals cope with their powerless position. Whereas master morality exalts strength and dominance, slave morality elevates qualities like sacrifice, submission, and self-denial. The historical roots of master and slave morality. Nietzsche's historical analysis suggests that the tension between these two moral systems is deeply embedded in the history of Western civilization. In ancient times, societies were often organized hierarchically, with a few elites at the top and the majority at the bottom. The powerful aristocracies, those in charge of land, wealth, and military power, exhibited master morality, while the vast majority of people, farmers, workers, and slaves, had to adopt a system of slave morality to survive. According to Nietzsche, Christianity played a central role in the development of slave morality. Christianity, with its emphasis on humility, meekness, and the promise of an afterlife for the downtrodden, magnified the values of suffering and compassion, reinforcing the slave morality system. The Christian doctrine of turning the other cheek, of loving your enemies, and of prioritizing spiritual over material wealth, Nietzsche argued, was a direct inversion of the values of the aristocratic world that preceded it. In this way, the spread of Christianity and its moral values marked a shift in societal norms, where the weak came to be seen as morally superior to the strong and the powerful. Nietzsche viewed this as a form of resentment or ressentiment, where the weak developed a moral system to justify their suffering and turn their powerlessness into a virtue. The moral values that were once associated with the ruling class were now inverted and redefined by the oppressed as a means of coping with their own powerless state. The consequences of master and slave morality on society. The distinction between master and slave morality is not just an intellectual curiosity. It has profound implications for how societies develop, structure themselves, and interact with individuals. These moral systems shape everything from the way people think about personal success and achievement to the way they engage with politics, religion, and culture. The rise of nihilism. One of the most profound consequences of the dominance of slave morality in modern society is the rise of nihilism. Nietzsche believed that when slave morality becomes the dominant moral framework in society, it leads to a deep sense of meaninglessness. This is because the moral values that emerged from the weakness of the oppressed come to dominate a world that is increasingly detached from the life-affirming values of strength, power, and creativity. When the values of submission, suffering, and self-sacrifice dominate, life loses its vitality, and people begin to question the purpose of existence itself. This nihilism is the belief that life lacks inherent meaning, and that all moral values are essentially arbitrary. As the modern world moved away from religious frameworks, the nihilistic tendencies of modernity became more apparent. Without a clear system of values rooted in power or divine authority, many individuals and societies are left to grapple with a sense of void, a sense that life has no intrinsic value or purpose. This void often manifests in cynicism, relativism, or an overwhelming sense of existential despair. The dangers of slave morality. While slave morality has provided a means for the oppressed to cope with their social circumstances, Nietzsche warned that when it becomes the dominant moral framework in society, it leads to a kind of life denial. A society rooted in the values of humility, meekness, and compassion, he argued, can become stagnant, resistant to change, and overly focused on suffering rather than on growth or empowerment. The potential for overcoming nihilism. Nietzsche proposed a radical solution to this nihilistic predicament. The Übermensch, Overman or Superman. The Übermensch is an individual who transcends traditional moralities, both master and slave, by creating their own values. This person is able to affirm life in its entirety, including its hardships and struggles, and live authentically according to their own will to power. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch is not simply a rejection of slave morality. It is an attempt to go beyond the dichotomy altogether. By doing so, the Übermensch represents a potential way for humanity to overcome the meaninglessness of nihilism, embracing a life of vitality, creation, and power. Nietzsche's distinction between master and slave morality continues to be a profound lens through which we can understand modern society. The tension between power and weakness, strength and submission, creation and denial still plays out in contemporary culture, politics, and philosophy. The rise of nihilism, driven by the dominance of slave morality, is a challenge that many modern societies continue to face. However, Nietzsche also offers a path forward, a way to transcend the limitations of these moralities and affirm life's meaning through the creation of personal values. By overcoming nihilism and rejecting the constraints of traditional morality, Nietzsche's philosophy encourages a more empowered and dynamic existence. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Nietzsche's concept of master and slave morality and its societal implications, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Join us on this unfolding journey as we continue to explore fascinating philosophical concepts that challenge our understanding of the world. Until next time, keep questioning, keep thinking, and keep growing. Don't forget to like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your reflections on Nietzsche's philosophy and how it resonates with you today.